The president talked about Baghdadi whimpering and crying and screaming. How do we know that?
Well, I don't have those details. The president probably had the opportunity to talk to the commanders on the ground.
That's Mark Esper. He is the defense secretary, and he was asked about some of the statements that Donald Trump made during his press conference when he talked about the death of al-Baghdadi. Now, he made a number of fascinating statements that aren't actually grounded in any truth, and I want to give you a little taste of that. Take a look.
It was something really amazing to see. I got to watch it along with General Milley, Vice President Pence, others in the Situation Room. And we watched it so clearly.
How did you watch this?
Well, I don't want to say how, but we had absolutely perfect, as though you were watching a movie. It was that and the technology there alone is really great.
So he doesn't want to say how because he wasn't watching it clearly, because it was impossible to watch it clearly from the Situation Room. Let me give you the details according to the New York Times. Surveillance feeds could not show what was happening in an underground tunnel, much less detect if Mr. al-Baghdadi was whimpering or crying. That was another statement that Donald Trump said repeatedly throughout the press conference. And I'm gonna give you some clips of that in just a minute. But Cenk, how about a quick statement and then we can go to that video.
Yeah, so look, the whimpering and crying, he 100% made out of whole cloth. If I was a Trump advisor and he listened to any advisor, I would have said to him, get in and get out. You'll get all the credit in the world. You don't need to embellish. You don't need to say anything. Because if you say anything extra, you know Trump, he's gonna embellish, he's gonna lie. And then people are gonna start criticizing you for your lies when it's a day you should be taking credit. But he can't help himself. He doesn't have any smart advisors. They're all yes men. So he goes out there and starts making things up, pulling it out of God knows where that no one can back up. And then it forces the defense secretary to go on air and go, yeah, I can't confirm that.
Exactly.
And by the way, the lies are broken into two categories. Normally, the lies come from the Pentagon. And so now the TV doesn't tell you that because that's their beloved Pentagon and they kiss their ass for access. So in this case, the lie that's coming from the Pentagon is maybe even more pernicious. They say, Baghdadi took 3 kids with him into the tunnel that Trump couldn't see, nobody could see from the observation other than perhaps the Delta forces that went in there, but only a dog might have gotten in there. So that's a whole nother part of the story. But anyway, the Pentagon said he might have taken the 3 kids to use as human shields. They always do this. Look, al-Baghdadi's a monster of monsters. You don't need to embellish. So, and they did the same exact thing with bin Laden. I called BS on that, and of course I was right. They're like, he hid behind his wife. 2 weeks later, they're like, no, he didn't, we made that part up. Why are you doing that? Well, you don't need to do that at all. The guy was, he butchered people, he raped people. You don't need to embellish with, he surrounded himself with 3 kids as human shields. So that's the Pentagon's lie. That is also not at all confirmed. Trump's lie is he was whimpering and crying and I saw it like a movie.
So let's hear him mention that several times throughout his press conference.
He died after running into a dead-end tunnel, whimpering and crying and screaming all the way. He reached the end of the tunnel as our dogs chased him down. He ignited his vest, killing himself and the 3 children. His body was mutilated by the blast. The tunnel had caved in on it in addition. But test results gave certain, immediate, and totally positive identification. It was him. The thug who tried so hard to intimidate others spent his last moments in utter fear, in total panic and dread, terrified of the American forces bearing down on him. Baghdadi was vicious and violent, and he died in a vicious and violent way as a coward, running and crying. And that's why he died like a dog. He died like a coward. He was whimpering, screaming, and crying. And frankly, I think it's something that should be brought out.
So again, I just want to mention, according to the New York Times, at the Pentagon on Sunday, officials steered clear of any description of al-Baghdadi whimpering or crying. Also, Trump would not have received any real-time dialogue from the scene, the official said, because the last thing American military planners want is to invite critique, second guessing, or even new orders from the Situation Room in the middle of an active military raid. So everything that he says he saw, he didn't actually see. Everything he says he heard, he didn't actually hear.
So look, what did he see? There is footage they take from the sky, and it shows basically heat sensors, and they did as good a job as they could in pointing out who the good guys were and the bad guys were. He didn't see anything in the tunnel because there's no cameras in the tunnel. The soldiers in this case have body cameras on them, but they are not live. The Pentagon reviews those later. Almost never releases them, but they do have them, but no one's even viewed them yet, okay? So he couldn't have seen those, and there was absolutely no audio on anything. So him describing how he whimpered and cried is literally impossible. The only thing is the Pentagon, in trying to cover his ass, were like, maybe he spoke to commanders on the scene later, but even though it looks like the defense secretary didn't even do that at the time of that quote. And so he didn't speak to no commanders, okay? He made it up, of course he did. And the part about the coward, look, the guy lit people on fire and taped it. You don't need to embellish. He may be the worst guy on the planet. So why are you needlessly doing this? They love to do this. He died as a coward running. How would he die not as a coward?
So,
is he supposed to sit there? If he sat there, you'd say he died like a coward. If he fights back, he died like a monster, like a coward. No matter what they do, you're gonna say they died like a coward. It's needless propaganda.
So wait.
And you know, it's gratuitous. You don't need it. The guy's already a monster. Sorry, Anna, go ahead.
So I get what you're saying, but do you think that there's some utility in that type of messaging? Because remember, Baghdadi did inspire a lot of young men to carry out these acts of violence. He recruited a lot of young men into ISIS. And so if you portray him as a coward, maybe that helps to dissuade some individuals from ISIS from continuing on with this ideology.
I'm just not in favor of lying when it's not needed, right? So did he run? Of course he ran. Who would sit there and go, oh yeah, please put a bullet in my head? And so if he actually used the kids and said, don't kill me because I have kids around me, okay, then I would say he's a coward. But remember, the Pentagon says he had a suicide vest, blew himself up. So why would he need the kids as human shields if he's gonna blow himself up? And presumably, they're kids that he was living with. So none of that story makes any sense at all. And he gets people questioning for no reason. Why do you want people to question the story? So that's why it's stupid, and you don't need it at all.
So one other clip that I wanted to show you, because Trump never fails to find strange things to brag about in the middle of press conferences like this one.
I kept saying, where's al-Baghdadi? And a couple of weeks ago, they were able to scope him out. You know, these people are very smart. They're not into the use of cell phones anymore. They're very technically brilliant. You know, they use the internet better than almost anybody in the world, perhaps other than Donald Trump.
But why?
But why are you why are you comparing yourself to ISIS? Why? He's such a weirdo. He can't help himself. ISIS, they were very good with the internet, but I am better. I was #1. ISIS was #2 in use of the internet. We were neck and neck for a while, but I pulled ahead at the end. Ha ha, ISIS. But I give you credit. Why are we having this conversation? Okay, and look, on a lighter note, when he's like, I kept asking, where's al-Baghdadi? I thought two things.
Was that his where's Mandela moment?
Exactly.
I thought the same thing.
I thought of Bush going, where's Mandela? Saddam killed all the Mandelas. And then Mandela had to put out a statement saying, I'm not dead. Okay, anyway, but the second thing I thought of is, probably a refrain that Trump had a lot, especially when he was going through financial crises. Where's daddy?
Yeah.
Where's daddy? So in this case, he added Baghdadi.
Oh, interesting, yeah.
Okay. So he might have asked that after all in a sense.
So I can't help myself. There is one other part of the story that I wanted to share with you, and it's a tweet from Nate Silver, okay? So Nate Silver is very transparent in his disdain for progressives, especially Bernie Sanders, never wants to give Bernie Sanders credit for anything. So with that context, just keep this in mind as I read you his tweet in regard to al-Baghdadi and his thoughts on how liberals have handled this story. He says, quote, "It's really amazing how many libs can't even permit Trump to have one good day. Nobody will remember this stuff by Tuesday after US forces kill perhaps the world's most wanted terrorist." So let me ask you something. So when polling indicates that Bernie Sanders is rising and is doing well, and you don't want to give him credit for that, does that count as, the same thing that you're accusing libs of in the case of al-Baghdadi? You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, of course.
Like he's
no every.
Is he? I don't even know if he's on the left at this point. Like, what kind of statement is that? Like, he's making it seem like people are treating Trump unfairly. You think Trump's being treated unfairly?
Yeah. So as quickly as I can. Number one, when Bernie has a good fundraising number, good poll number, whatever it is, every time he says, "It's just one poll. It's just one poll. It doesn't mean anything." Well, you can't let him have one good day? Okay, that's Anna's point. Number two, when every once in a while I kiddingly refer to the libs, but that's obviously ironic because we're liberals / progressives. The way he referred to it doesn't seem ironic. So are you really calling people the libs? Is that a thing? What happened to Mr. I just care about the facts and the numbers, okay? But these goddamn libs won't even let Trump have one good day. Look, I don't know, maybe he's kidding. I hope it's a wink and a nod.
Does Nate Silver ever read? That's what I want to know. Does he? No, I know, that sounds like a huge insult. And I really do mean it to be an insult. Because, like, do you not know what Trump did in northern Syria in abandoning the Kurds who were assisting us with ISIS, who were assisting us with the intel necessary to capture and kill al-Baghdadi? Are you unaware of all that? So again, I want to reiterate what we talked about in a previous story. Al-Baghdadi was killed not because of Trump, but despite Trump. And that is a statement from military officials who spoke to the press. So, okay, you want to give Trump credit, have at it. But it's really strange to me that he's willing to give Trump credit, but whenever someone else, a progressive, actually deserves credit, he refuses to give it to them.
But the other two things are, look, as I've been saying for about 45 minutes straight on the show right now, is if Trump had just said al-Baghdadi is dead, our brave soldiers were instrumental in that, obviously were wonderful, but I want to also thank our allies that helped us, and walks off the stage, that's a big win. And he could have just left it at that. But he did a self-own, as he always does. And we didn't ruin his good moment, he did. He's like, oh yeah, I'm better at the internet than ISIS. And I heard him whimpering, crying when there was no audio. I mean, we can go on and on. So we didn't do that, Trump did that. But Nate's like, no, don't, please back off of him. And then finally, the hypocrisy. Trump dozens of times said, Obama deserves no credit for bin Laden. Obama deserves no credit for bin Laden. And so now when he says, oh, I deserve all the credit for Baghdadi. Oh, I deserve it. Nate Silver comes in and goes, yes, he's right. No. After you've been an incredible hypocrite like Donald Trump, you don't get to then turn around and go, hey, can you lay off me for one day? I don't remember you laying off of Obama for one day. So Nate, thanks, but no thanks on your advice to be pleasant to Donald Trump today. And lastly, I want to show the picture, the goofy picture they put out, because again, Trump is jealous of Obama. Obama had this great picture in the Situation Room when they were getting bin Laden during that raid. They obviously realized this belatedly, so they decided to take a picture afterwards. First of all, you're not supposed to look at the camera. You're supposed to be looking at the action, right? That's what happens when you take it in the middle of the raid instead of after the raid. When you smile into the camera, then as half of them are doing, then we realize it's a staged picture. Second of all, presumably, as a lot of people on the internet have pointed out, those orange cables were at some point connected to something. Now they're not, okay? World's worst staged photo. These are all unnecessary self-inflicted wounds. You didn't need to do any of that. All you had to do was say al-Baghdadi's dead on my watch, and everyone, including Nate Silver and all the mainstream media, would have given you all the credit in the world. But when Trump continues to punch himself in the face, it's our job to point it out. Thanks for watching The Young Turks, really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR, so those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.